The Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen. Brought to you by Medine's Collision Center in Baton Rouge. Take control, choose Medine's. Grosse Savant Lodge, south of Lake Charles, the true sportsman's paradise. Treads and Care Company in Central, the tires you need, the service you want. Harvey Auto in Shreveport, Bossier City, the name you have trusted for years. And Gage in Baton Rouge. Get better connected with Gage. Here's your host, Lee Burkeen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lee Burkeen with the Sports Scouting Report podcast. We've got a great show today with Gavin Peters, who's with Carencro High School, offensive coordinator, one of the top young assistant coaches in Louisiana, not just in the Lafayette area, but in the state of Louisiana. Every time I talk to a coach, I hear the name Gavin Peters. Gavin, appreciate you joining us, man.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. And just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I'm glad it's over for the food.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Got to go on a diet, man. Hit the gym or go walk around or something. Go around the block a few times.
Yes, sir.
Definitely everybody great. And also, before we start, the young man, Hamlin, wishing him hopefully that he can come out of this from the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Tough situation. I was actually on the phone with a good friend of mine last night while it transpired, and my wife and my mom, we were all sitting in the living room, and my chest just kind of started hurting when the situation happened, and I kind of just had to decompress a little bit. I went in the room and turned the lights off, and I would check my phone every now and then to see what my friends were saying in the group messages, but it's a tough situation, man. And actually, I'll be honest, on the way over here this morning, I just can't get that situation out of my mind, So I'm praying for him and his family and, just our country and the state of football as a whole. And hopefully everything works out well in that situation.
Prayers to him and his family. A second-year player out of the University of Pittsburgh. And I remember following him, Gavin, in high school. He's one of the top 3 players in the state.
Wow.
Pitt doesn't keep their players. They usually go to Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State. Marvin Harrison's from Pennsylvania.
Wow, didn't know that.
Imagine how good Pitt would be with Marvin Harrison.
Yes, sir.
But your background, you started in coaching at the age of 19.
Yes, sir, 19 years old.
While you were in college at ULL. And it just so happened you ran into a pretty good track guy, Harold Porter.
Yes, sir, Harold Porter.
Who you bonded with.
Yes, sir.
Tell everybody the story about how you were able to get an opportunity to coach while you're in college.
Yes, sir. I was part of fraternity Kappa Alpha Psi, Fraternity Incorporated, and joined the fraternity in my first year, my freshman year. I was the president of our chapter, and I was named New Greek Man of the Year on UL's campus. And from that point on, kind of through everything that we were doing within the fraternity, Porter and I, we developed a great relationship. And I remember telling them that, man, HP, man, I want to get my career started. I want an opportunity to get some experience. And he said, well, I went to high school with Ted Davidson at Acadiana.
Hall of Famer.
And I said, well, you need to give him a call for me, And he gave Coach Davidson a call and set up a meeting. And I'll never forget, we met with Coach Davidson, and we were sitting back kind of in the field behind the gym. And we kind of started talking. He was like, man, I don't have any spots available, but maybe we can stay in touch. And we just kept talking, man. And one question ended up being about a 2-hour conversation. And Coach Davidson, by the time it was all said and done and I needed to go and he needed to get to work, he said, man, we start spring practice next week. Why don't you just come by and check us out? And the rest is history. I took that opportunity and I showed up every day and soaked as much knowledge as I can, and was blessed and fortunate to be able to work with Coach Davidson and a ton of other great coaches for a good period of time when I was at Acadiana High School.
It's the things in life by chance is where you end up.
Yes, sir.
And then what you do with it. And just so you know, I didn't mention it, he's the current offensive coordinator for Carencro.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Crow.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Carencro.
Yes, sir. Exit 4.
Bears, state champions in 2020 and 1992 when they had Kevin Falk, who came on 2 weeks ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Coach, you were at Acadiana at 19 years old, going to ULL, working with Ted Davidson, on top of the world the school was, still is. And we're going to talk about how Carencro beat Acadiana this year.
Yes, sir.
But you were there for about 6-7 years at Acadiana.
I think it was 7 or 8 years. 7, 8 years, something like that. It was good time, and I'm forever grateful for those people and the community of Scott. And still to this day, they support me, very well from afar. Besides that 1 week of the season, but great people, great community.
I want to mention that Gavin is a graduate of Pineville High School in North Louisiana.
Yes.
So he's got a little
Central
bit of
Louisiana.
He's got
Central Louisiana.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I always
Yes,
say
sir.
North Louisiana.
I got you.
But you've got the experience on not just Lafayette, but also that area. But you're from New Orleans.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Originally from New Orleans.
West Bank.
West Bank guy. My grandmother lives in Woodmere, and most of my family lives on the West Bank. And I think I was 9 years old when my mom met my stepdad, and he was from Gina, Louisiana, and he took a coaching job up there at Gina. And that's kind of where my love for sports really started. Coach Mac Fowler was the head coach at the time at Gina, and he told my dad, he said, "Why don't you bring that boy around, and I promise you he'll never leave." And I'm so very thankful to Coach Mac for giving me that opportunity. And I was a ball boy, Jason Hatcher.
Oh, wow.
And,
that's a name.
Yes, sir. Jason
NFL.
Hatcher was one of the first football crushes that I had, and he was just a basketball player at the time when I first moved to Gina, but then the senior year he came out and played football, and we actually went to Bell Chase and beat Bell Chase. I think it was the first round, and Bell Chase had Chris Henry. Was a receiver on that team. The late Chris Henry, God rest his soul. And
played for the Bengals.
Quarterback by name of Shane Shelley, unbelievable football player.
Him.
I was like 8, 9 years old, but I still remember all that, man.
And
that's
Hatcher, your boy Hatcher, 6'7", 6'8".
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he was a receiver when he was in high school, man. And what an unbelievable football player.
What a
unbelievable
talent.
Football player. We had another guy by the name of Dane Ashley, who was our quarterback.
Yeah. Gina. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Russell Dorton was a good receiver for us. I think all of those guys ended up playing college football, ended up playing collegiate sports. I think Russell and Dane ended up being – I think Dane signed with Tulane, and I think Russell ended up playing baseball maybe at Northwestern or something like that, but very great start.
All those kids who are now – they're adults now, but they were in our Louisiana football magazine. We're going to take a break. Speaking of Tulane, I want to come back and ask you about the Tulane great win they had. The biggest win, I think, in the history of the school, in my opinion.
Yes,
I wasn't born in the 40s. I heard they were good in the 40s and 50s. And then LSU's big win. We'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
What does that bug man do?
Not only do we do pest control, we do odor control, bat removal, moisture control, rodents, and of course, bed bug control. Give the bug man a call. We get them before they get you.
Welcome back. Lee Burkeen, your host of Sports Scouting Report podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share our podcast. We're getting near the 1,000 mark on just the podcast, but you can also go to wherever you get your podcast. Go to YouTube to subscribe, but also go to Podbean as our host for our podcast, and also Twitter, or you can email me at lburkeen@aol.com. We've got Coach Gavin Peters, who's the offensive coordinator for Carencro High School, right outside of Lafayette. The Bears have won 2 state championships. He's the offensive coordinator for the Carencro football team. Their head coach, Tony Corville, has been there for a long time, and even when he left, he came back a few times. You can't get rid of those guys that are from Carencro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great staff, great people.
Yes, sir.
I want to get into college football with you, Gavin. We're coming off the holiday season, all the bowl games. We're almost done. National championship game is going to be Georgia. I'll get your prediction, TCU. I'm pulling for TCU to win it, by the way.
Okay.
Nothing against the SEC. I like the underdog.
Yes, sir.
My favorite bowl game so far this year was actually, I love the LSU game. I love blowouts where you can relax, watch the game, and watch all the guys play.
Yes, sir.
I'm that crazy guy. People want to turn the channel when it's 40-0.
Mm-hmm.
I want to watch the backups. Just like a high school game, I want to watch your young guys coming up. But what did you think of the Purdue game? I know a lot of guys sat out, but this is what people don't realize. Purdue had 5 guys sit out. LSU had 5 sit out. LSU's whole D-line sat out but 1 guy. How hard is it to win a blowout against a Big Ten team, right, who was in their championship game against Michigan and played Michigan for 3 quarters? LSU played with 1 D-line starter.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell.
Yeah. That was impressive, man. I was talking with a good friend of mine, and just amazing how much talent those Power 5 schools have
Yeah.
on their roster. You know, there's not much difference from, you know, if there's 10 guys in the room, there's not much difference sometimes between 1 and 10. And I think that was definitely on display yesterday. But what a great performance by the Tigers.
J. Ray Jenkins from Gina.
Yes, sir.
Sat out.
Yes, and it's my cousin. Yes, sir.
I would love to see him play in that final game.
Yes,
but,
sir.
Jarek Bernard had a great game. Who's going to get drafted higher? He upgraded his draft position. Had an interception. They had some great players on the team, but now they got a quarterback controversy at LSU. Garrett Nussmeier. You got Walker Howard coming up, and you had a great season by Jaden Daniels.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, they're both pro prospects.
Yeah, all three of those guys are great football players. You know, what Jaden done and his leadership that he brought to this team is remarkable. And Nussmeier's kind of got that gunslinger mentality.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you look at social media, a lot of the kids seem like they have a lot of respect for Nussmeier. And, you know, I got a chance to work against Walker Howard for 4 years.
St.
And
Thomas More.
I tell you, what an impressive kid. You know, one thing that I'll never forget about Walker Howard is his senior year, he got hurt. And, you know, he was I think he might have been the #1 quarterback prospect in the country.
Yeah.
And he could have easily opted out and said, I'm done.
He came back
and, you know, joined his teammates and went out there and tried to win a state championship. And I remember telling him, because I asked him the night that we played, they ended up beating us by 7 points. We took a couple tough losses to STM over the last couple of years. And I remember asking him, are you going to come back? And he told me yes. I said, man, I just want to let you know I got so much respect for that. And so, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, that's just the nature of that business.
Right.
You know, it's all about competition, and LSU's job is to go out there and recruit the best and let those guys compete against each other and let the chips fall where they may. But definitely an interesting situation going on there from an entertainment and from a fan standpoint.
Here's what I'm going to say, Coach, and I think you'd like this as a coach because patience is the greatest thing ever for a coach. You want kids to be patient. Let Jaden come back, start. Let Nussmeier come back and back him up another year. And as a redshirt sophomore, what's wrong with being the guy next?
Yeah.
And then he's out with a great year. And then Walker, as a redshirt sophomore, can take over after that. Now, that's how you would want it to go as a coach.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In a perfect world, I guess. Yes, sir.
But what's wrong with waiting one more year when you're only a redshirt freshman? That's my thing. Turning to Tulane. The greatest win in my 52 years of following Tulane. Now, I know Sean King was good when they had Tommy Bowden. Mm-hmm. I know that they had some success with Mac Brown back in the day, way before your time.
Yeah, that's a little bit before.
Mac started there. They had some great teams. Coach English, Selfo had a tough time because of Katrina. And now beating USC, the Heisman Trophy winner, in the Cotton Bowl, coming back 15 down with like 3 minutes left, getting a safety, coming in the tight end, catching that pass that was not ruled a catch. They had to review it. And I'm thinking, they're not going to give Tulane that catch. They're just not. And they did. And the biggest victory in the history of the school, I think, on national TV, because back in the 40s, not everybody sees everything. Now everybody, social media. But Tulane's recruiting is going to go through the roof.
Yeah, what an unbelievable job that coaching staff has done. I think they won 2 games the year before and won 12 this season. And we actually have a kid, Bailey Despani.
Yeah,
was a great player for us on the state championship team who was a part of that program. And very happy for him and very happy for the entire school and program. What a remarkable job and another good representation of the great state of Louisiana.
Spears, their running back, is from where? Ponchatoula.
Ponchatoula,
and
yes,
ran all over USC.
Yes, sir.
200-plus yards.
Yeah, they've had some good football players come through that school in the last 10 years. We played against them a few times when I was at Acadiana.
Yeah.
Had some war, some great games.
Go Tulane Green Wave for all the Tulane fans. I've got a few friends that are They're from the old school. They're from the 60s.
Yes, sir.
Tulane used to be a part of the SEC prior to the 1970s.
Okay.
So they're still a little upset about that. But hey, Tulane, they got a chance to dominate for a while because their conference is going to get easier. A lot of the tough teams are moving out of it. They could be in this spot for a long time every year.
And I know there's a little bit of negativity behind this, but the transfer portal too, man, it's just kind of changed the game.
Right.
It's given programs that aren't very good an opportunity to make a tremendous jump the next year, and it's also giving some programs who are kind of on the brink of greatness. They can kind of go out there. I mean, look what LSU did this past season. I think they had 34 scholarship players at the end of last season, and what Coach Kelly was able to go out there and do. I think prior to the portal, I'm not quite sure if some of this would have been possible. What some of the teams are doing.
Coach Peters is going to take a break. When we come back, we've got one more segment of Coach Gavin Peters, Carencro High School. We're going to talk about Carencro's football team this past year. We're going to go through his team, obviously the offense. He's an offensive coordinator. And we'll go through all his top players. And there's still some seniors at Carencro that have a chance to sign, big-time players. We'll be right back.
Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge has fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours located south of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Give them a call at 337-598-2357. That number to call again is 337-598-2357. And have the time of your life. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
Welcome back. Lee Burkeen, your host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. We have Gavin Peters, who's the offensive coordinator at Carencro High School right outside of Lafayette. It's done a phenomenal job for them. Well, look, one of the top assistant coaches in the country, not just in Louisiana. And Gavin, I want to mention this. I got a call from Coach Crochet, Hall of Fame coach from Laurelville.
Yes, sir.
And we're talking about guests after the holidays. And I said, I need a guest to come in, a good coach. He said, man, the best assistant coach in the state is Gavin Peters. And I've heard it from Ted Davidson, Coach Crochet, several coaches that think you're going to be a head coach one day. You're going to be one of those guys that will be at a school 20 years. I know you're still at Carencro as an assistant.
Yes, sir.
But tell everybody before we go into your team what Ted Davidson's meant to you, learning from him when you were at Acadiana.
Oh, he's meant a lot, man, and him and so many others. But I'm forever grateful for the opportunity to sit there and work with Coach Davidson and kind of be his right-hand man and be in his back pocket. I was a sponge every single day that we were together. And not only Coach Ted, but, Dawson Durbin and Judd Broussard and Gary Fontenot, Scott McCullough. I was just blessed and fortunate enough to work with some really great guys, and it's kind of strange now. Like they say, when your idols become your rivals.
Right. Right. Now you got to play against them.
Now we got to play against them, trying to beat them. Every season, and it's just part of the business. But I'm eternally grateful to Coach Davidson and so many others. Success is about people. And I've been blessed to be around some great people.
Tell everybody about the staff at Carencro. Obviously, Tony Corville's done a phenomenal job there. Yes, sir. His son, Michael Corville's on the staff.
Yes, sir. Joey, defensive coordinator.
Joey Dyer.
Yes, sir. He's been there for a long time.
Derek Franchak.
Yes, sir.
Ben Gonzalez. Gavin, yourself. Kobe Pettis.
Yes, sir.
Tyler Pierce.
Yes, sir.
Janavian Sias.
Yes, sir.
Seth Dickerson.
Yes, sir. He's our social media guy. But what a great staff, One thing, my first year at Carencro was pretty rough, just a change and, coming into a new culture. And one thing that I learned that year, I said that, any job that I take from this point forward, I'm going to always consider the people that I'll be working with first. And what a great staff we have at Carencro right now. This past season, and this says a lot because I've been on some great staffs. This past season was the best staff that I've ever been a part of.
That's big.
And very excited about what we got going on right now, and hopefully we can continue to build on that.
I want to start with your senior quarterback who's graduating this year, Chance Caesar, who missed his junior year with an injury.
He got hurt week 8 versus Brother Martin.
But didn't get a chance to have the whole season, the playoffs, which
yes, sir.
Really hurt you as offensive coordinator. You are able to keep going. But here's a kid that's 6'3", 205 pounds, great athlete. In your opinion, where do you put him in recruiting? I know he looks D1. He's got the arm. He's got everything. But very underrated, right, Coach?
Yes, sir. Recruiting is a strange deal right now. Well, I think it's always been a strange deal.
Stranger
but,
now.
I was thinking about this weekend. COVID really doesn't impact us on a day-to-day basis anymore, but it still impacts recruiting.
Definitely.
A lot of those kids were given extra years, so they kind of just get held on to, and then also the transfer portal. You know, these kids that are 17 and 18 years old now, they've got to be compared against 21 and 22-year-olds,
right.
you know. And I think things are going to pick up for him a lot when we get back from the break. Talked to a couple of guys right before, and I think people wanted to see what they got in that first signing period. And I think he's a diamond in the rough, man. I think he's going to be a steal for somebody. I think he can play on the highest level of college football, and I'm excited to see where he goes.
I love him. He's a stud. And like you said, recruiting's now become a late signing period for high school players. Mm-hmm. The early signing period, it's all portal guys.
Yeah, it's a tough business right now.
Tough business. You got a junior tight end, Cameron Cyprian, who's 6'3", 215.
Yes, sir.
Great hands, great speed.
Great speed. He's very raw, very raw. It's only his third year playing football.
Yeah.
But I think he's got a lot of potential left in him. He's playing on our basketball team right now, which I think is going to really help him become a better athlete. He was also on our relay team last spring that qualified for the state meet and track. So I think his best days are ahead of him. Still very raw, but has a chance to have a tremendous senior season.
Chance Babineau is going to be your quarterback next year. Coach, you love him. He was a freshman this year. Did a lot for the team this year, but what do you think of Chance moving forward?
Oh, man, very excited, very excited. I mean, what a great kid. You know, he's got a lot of DNA that he's blessed with, a lot of things that God has given him. But the greatest thing I can say about Chance Babineau right now is that he's extremely coachable, number one, and he's a tremendous teammate. All of his teammates love to be around him. You know, the success that he had this past season, that's not very easy to navigate through, and he navigated it the best that I've seen. And he's got a great group of parents, Melissa and Dudley Babineau, and what a great family, and we're blessed to have those people at Carencro.
Joni Martin's another good player coming back for the program.
Yes, sir. He's had 2 tremendous years for us the past 2 years. He was a first-team All-District player the past 2 seasons, sophomore and junior season. Had a huge game versus Acadiana in the second round of the playoffs. I think he ended up with 3 turnovers, I want to say, maybe 2 interceptions, and then he had a scoop and score for a touchdown, and looking forward to great things out of him his senior year as well.
And finally, I want to mention a young defensive end that played O-line and D-line for the team. Y'all were short on lineman, Derek Senegal, 6'3", 234, only a sophomore.
Yes, sir. I think Derek's got a chance to be a tremendous player for us. You know, he was one of those kids that grew up a lot off the field this past season, and it was crucial for us. And when we were having our exit meetings with him, you know, we told him, and I actually kind of mentioned this to him before the season was over, was that, you know, we had a really, really good group of linemen this past season that carried the torch of the program. And I told Derek, you know, that, hey, man, those guys are passing the baton over to you now. And I think he's excited about carrying this team and looking forward to great things out of him.
One more kid, Kashmir Baptiste, running back, coming back. Not a big guy, but very athletic.
Yes, sir. And another one, he's a lot like Chance Babineau, great kid. You know, every day I show up and I see Kashmir Baptiste, I'm ready to go, because I know I got a guy that's going to run through a brick wall for the program. And another one who's a great teammate. All of his teammates love being around him. And he had a really good junior season. I'm expecting big things for him out of senior season as well.
Before we go, we got about 40 seconds left. Also want to mention you played for Mike Richard at Pineville.
Yes, sir.
Retired coach. What do you think of Mike? We got to make sure we put Mike in.
I think the world of Coach Richard. You know, I put him in the same category as Coach Davison and Coach Corville and some of the other great coaches that I believe are critical and responsible to my success right now as a young coach. And glad and very thankful that I got a chance to play for him.
Gavin, good luck to you, man. I mean, this coming year, you're going to have a good team again, you and Coach Corville and the staff. Y'all do a phenomenal job. I mean, coming off a state championship in 2020.
Yes, sir.
Who knows, man? I mean, it seems like the whole Lafayette area goes to state title games now.
Well, we got a really good group of kids in the area, and got a really good group of coaches in the area too. I mean, well-coached area, and that's kind of a badge of honor for us now. We try to stick together as a community and go out there and compete and work hard and do things the right way.
He also does driver's ed during the summer, and also during January to July, they do 2D Sports, which is a youth baseball program that you do travel ball with Texas, Mississippi, Alabama. You stay busy, man.
Yes, sir. Stay busy. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you coming on, Coach.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Lee.
you.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it. Gavin Peters, Carencro High School offensive coordinator. Look, this name in about 10 years, I'll probably be retired by then, but in 10 years, this guy's going to be a head coach in the next few years at a big-time program. Right now, he's head offensive coordinator at Carencro, doing a great job for Tony Corville in that program. We'll we're going to go ahead and end the show. Again, subscribe on YouTube or go to wherever you get your podcasts. Go to Podbean, go to Twitter, or go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com. We'll see you on Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.